The movie begins with a man named Matthias who lives in Paris, and he is a broke businessman who lost his car and house in gambling. Hiding his situation, he went on a holiday with his friend Ralph. He had an affair with Ralph's wife, Marie. At the party that he became a part of, there was also an American woman named Liz in that party who was watching Matthias play gambling. However, with the help of Liz, Matthias won a lot of money, and thus they became friends. After a while, Liz left the party with Matthias, while Liz's bodyguard didn't like her friendship with strangers. Matthias took Liz to Ralph's house, and then he found out that Liz also had a twin sister. Hearing that, Matthias jokingly says that he also has a twin brother named Matthew. However, Matthias didn't know that his ordinary lie was going to change his life. The next day, Liz invited Matthias to a party. Happily, Matthias went to Liz's house that evening, which was no less than a grand palace. He reached there and started flirting with Liz, and to his surprise he found out that the woman standing in front of him was Liz's sister, Betty. Moreover, Matthias had attended such a party for the first time, which he had only seen in his dreams. Matthias found out that the parents of those sisters had died, and they want to sell their palace. During these talks, Matthias also committed theft and was stealing from the house. Later, one by one, he kept talking to those two sisters. Betty said that she wanted to meet Matthias's brother Matthew, and he agreed to let Betty meet Matthew. The next day, he returned to his city and started managing his business. However, as soon as he reached the office, he started getting calls from the debtors. His assistant Evie started giving him all those bills whose balance was still pending, and after a while, a man named Charlie came to ask for his money. Matthias had to give him money, and then he started trying to find out about Liz's parents. A few days later, Matthias went to meet Betty as Matthew and to continue his drama, and his behavior also started changing. Matthew started spending time with Betty and also started trying to impress her. Matthias always wanted to have a relationship with rich twin sisters, and that's why he kept trying to impress both the sisters. Because of this attempt, he had to listen to a boring poem by Betty, and then his affair with Betty started. The next morning, he was happy when he didn't remember what he had promised Betty. When Betty told him that she had promised Betty to marry him as Matthew, he was surprised. But everything was going well because Matthew would be the owner of a property worth millions after the marriage. When he left and returned home, and as he reached, Liz was already there. And when he changed his appearance and went home, Mary angrily threw him out of the house. Liz took him to her house, and Matthias started living with both the sisters in their house. Betty was upset thinking about Matthew, but Matthias said that he was still in Canada so he couldn't meet Betty. To fulfill Betty's wish, Matthias secretly tells Evie that the next morning a girl will ask about Matthew, and she will want to talk to his brother Matthew. Evie has to tell her that Matthew is in another country for a few days. After playing that game for a few days, he talked to Betty as Matthew, and one day, he started returning to his city. However, when he reached his office in Paris, he met Ernest, Liz's lawyer and bodyguard. Ernest wanted to get a contract signed by both the brothers, but he couldn't escape the jokes kept in Matthias's office. Ernest wanted to know whether Matthias and his brother were planning to seize the property of those sisters or not. And with his words, Matthias understood that Ernest wanted to get Liz. From that moment, Ernest and Matthias became enemies. Apart from that problem, Matthias also had a problem with Charlie, and to deal with him, Matthias included him in his plan. He made fake birth certificates for his fake brother and himself so that he could prove his lie to Ernest, and in return, he promised to give money to Charlie. He started preparing for the wedding, while Betty said she wanted to marry in Paris. Meanwhile, Matthias had to live with both sisters in two different cities simultaneously, which was impossible. To hide his lie, he starts another drama and tells Betty that Matthias won't be able to spend time with Liz because he has to go to Canada. Later, without any worry, he started preparing to marry Betty. Moreover, he didn't know that Betty had her intention behind her marriage. Matthias got married as Matthew and started living a luxurious life. However, Liz comes to meet him and says that she wants to meet Matthias. She got angry and started going to his office to meet Matthias and to stop her. He called Liz as Matthias, and Liz trusted his drama again. Later, Matthias decided to meet Liz that evening, and he mixed a sedative in Betty's drink. As soon as he got a chance, he left Betty in the house and left the house, and he decided to end this drama and leave Liz forever. After some time, he met Liz and talked her into leaving her. However, Liz stopped him and said that she wanted to give him an offer. She told Matthias that she just wanted to marry him. After that, she would give him money every month, and even after marriage, Matthias could enjoy his freedom. Matthias understood that both the sisters wanted to get married just because their parents' will stated that until they got married, they wouldn't get a share of the property. That way, Matthias will marry both the sisters, and he will get a share of their property. First, Matthias refused. After talking to a beggar, He realized he would get a lot of money and agreed to marry out of greed for money. Later, Matthias had to perform his drama better than before, and while taking care of both sisters, he started trying to play two roles in the same house. Doing that was proving to be more difficult than before for him. At the same time, he did not give up and handled the situation, and kept running from one room to another. Later, while thinking about himself, Matthias feels ashamed that he started trying to take money from both sisters while he could earn much money just by being himself, and that's why he wanted to kill one of Matthias and Matthew's brothers forever. And he decided to send Matthew to Canada forever. He went to Betty and started pretending to find Matthew. He told Betty that in Canada, Matthew's girlfriend tried to kill herself, and that girl wanted to meet Matthew, and that's why he had to go to Canada. Matthew started going to Canada the next day, and Betty said goodbye to him. Later, without any worries, Matthias started spending time with Liz while Ernest threatened to kill him. When Liz left home, Betty came to him, and that's when Matthias and Betty started talking and came close to each other. The next morning, Betty tells Matthias she likes spending time with him. Matthias starts thinking that it's been only a few days since the wedding and his wife is having an affair with another man. Matthias starts thinking that he is cheating on his wife with himself. In this weird confusion, he realized he started loving Betty, so he called her and told her he would return to her the next morning. The next day, Ralph told him that Betty had married him because his father had written in his will that whoever married first would get a bigger share of the property. Hearing that, Matthew's fake brother was heartbroken, and he told Betty that he knew everything about Betty and Matthias's affair. He took Matthew's role away from Betty and told Liz he didn't want to marry her. Meanwhile, Liz doesn't know that Matthew and Betty are married, and when she finds out, she starts abusing Betty. She prepares to marry Matthias and takes him to New York with a check. After completing the wedding in an hour, they returned to France. When Liz went to her other boyfriend, Matthew got angry and left and went to his office where he saw Liz. He was pleased. However, he realized she was Betty, and she couldn't bear the pain of losing Matthew. After seeing her like that, Matthew was very happy because Betty had started loving Matthew. Evie thought that he was playing a dangerous game, but when Matthias told her that all his debts will be paid by the money he got, she was very happy. After getting the money, Matthias ended his relationship with Liz, and he lied to Liz that he is going to Japan forever, and he decided to go to Betty while playing the role of Matthew. Later, Matthew happily started living his life on an island with Betty, and one day Liz brought them the news that she is married. Both sisters started talking about their property, and after hours of talking, they decided to end their fight one last time. Liz read a letter from Matthias's, and she told Matthew that she had started loving Matthias. And moreover, Matthias's problems increased again. He was very upset and kept thinking about her all night. That night, when both sisters went out for some time, Ernest came to their house. Ernest got to know the truth about Matthias. He knows that there is no one, and he is just trying to trap both sisters with this drama. Ernest also had the proof, and he started threatening and beating Matthias. While Matthias tried to save his life, Ernest got shot in this attack, and in defense, Ernest shot Matthias. However, Matthias did not get shot. At that time, Betty and Liz called Matthias, and he started asking for help while Matthias did not know that both sisters also got to know the truth. Matthias started trying to find the proof of Ernest's dead body. Moreover, in this attempt, the whole house was on fire. Leaving the burning house behind, Matthias ran away from there, and he had an accident in the middle of the way. He ran from that area in a truck and returned to his office. Suddenly, Evie came there and told him she heard the news of his death on the radio. The police thought that the dead body belonged to Matthias's brother Matthew, and that Ernest ran away after killing him. Hearing this news, Matthias was pleased and started celebrating his drama, and fake characters end with Evie. He told Liz and Betty he was in Japan and would return the next day. Both sisters were aware of his lies, and then they also became a part of this drama. While talking about Matthew's death, they started doing a drama and decided that both sisters would marry Matthias. In the end, both sisters started playing with Matthias, and after some time, Matthias found out that they always knew the whole truth. Matthias, Betty, and Liz got what they wanted. After the fake funeral, they went to America where they married and started living happily. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.